Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. The railway incident at Montparnasse Station in France in 1895 became one of the most iconic records of the steam locomotive era, showing the urgent need to improve safety measures in European rail transportation. West Berlin police watch closely as East German soldiers build the Berlin Wall in 1961, a milestone that divided families, separated ideologies, and symbolized the height of Cold War tension between socialist and capitalist blocs. Soldiers moved toward the beach during D-Day in 1944, a decisive moment in World War II that marked the beginning of Western Europe's liberation from German control, permanently changing the course of the conflict on the continent. The construction of the Berlin Wall, begun in 1961, marked the physical and ideological division between East and West Germany, symbolizing Cold War polarization and sharply limiting the mobility of the city's residents. British children were prepared for emergencies soon after World War II began in 1939, receiving masks and school training, reflecting the fear of air raids that spread after the powerful experience of World War I. Anne Margaret became a style icon by embodying the innovative spirit of the 1960s, when young people transformed cultural and fashion standards, popularizing bold clothing like the baby doll and promoting new expressions of women's freedom. A peasant woman carries hay in the fields of Cogna in Italy's Alpine region after the war, when agriculture was still the local economic base, illustrating the essential role of women in maintaining rural traditions in 1959. Throughout World War II, scenes like the one documented in 1940 in the famous photograph, "Wait for Me," Dalí symbolized the impact of mobilization on families, marking farewells to loved ones and the anxious mood of the period. London civilians sought shelter in subway stations such as Aldwych during the air raids of World War II, a practice that protected thousands of people and became a symbol of popular resistance to the German campaign between 1940 and 1941. Marches of uniformed men accompanied by a saluting crowd in East London in October 1936 recall the major demonstration by the Blackshirts led by Oswald Mosley, an event that caused broad public reaction in the United Kingdom. The end of Prohibition in the United States in 1933 marked the repeal of the 18th Amendment, which had restricted the production and sale of alcoholic beverages, ending a period of limits and encouraging the growth of industry and entertainment. The ocean liner RMS Mauritania, recorded in 1909 while docked in Liverpool, symbolizes the height of the great passenger ship era, bringing important technological advances and establishing the British port as a world naval hub. Unemployed people gather around a shack with a Christmas tree on East 12th Street in New York, reflecting the persistent social crisis experienced even after the height of the Great Depression, whose consequences deeply marked the United States in 1938. The Great Blizzard of 1966 marked North Dakota history by covering towns with snowdrifts up to about 39 feet high, interrupting transportation and local routines, showing the region's vulnerability to severe weather events and their deep impact on daily life. Tests of crowd control equipment, such as the riot suit shown in the 1950s, reflect official responses to rising post-war social tensions, paving the way for modern protest policing protocols. Practical tests of personal protective equipment, like the one recorded in 1923, contributed significantly to the development of new safety technologies, affecting public service professionals and field teams in different settings. Betty Fox pushes the limits by performing an aerial act over the Hotel Fort Shelby in Michigan in 1945, marking the post-war fascination with daring shows and highlighting the role of women in major public events of that period. Facing great heights in the United States in 1939, skyscraper workers often worked with limited protective equipment, showing both courage and the difficult conditions of construction during urban expansion in major cities. Before receiving the sculptures of American presidents, the rock formation known as the Six Grandfathers held great spiritual meaning for the Lakota people, with its transformation into Mount Rushmore beginning in 1927, a controversial landmark in United States history. The intriguing seven-headed petroglyph found in Khakassia, Russia, points to the cultural practices and symbolic beliefs of prehistoric peoples who lived in the region around 5000 BC, showing ancient artistic expressions and their worldviews. Filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock, a major figure in suspense cinema, appears serving tea to a lion in 1957, a period when he promoted his films in innovative ways, using unusual scenes and humor to stand out in international popular culture. The FBI's extensive fingerprint archive in 1944 symbolized the progress of criminal identification methods in the United States, strengthening investigations during World War II and establishing databases as a central tool of public safety. Workers maintained the torch of the Statue of Liberty during the 1930s, a period marked by the Great Depression in the United States, emphasizing the monument's importance as a symbol of hope and national resilience. The expedition led by Howard Carter in 1922, which found Tutankhamun's tomb, revealed remarkable artifacts such as the statue of Anubis, deepening the world's understanding of ancient Egyptian burial rites. The record, titled The Oldest Surviving Aerial Photograph from 1860, marks an unprecedented advance in photography history by capturing, for the first time, a city seen from above, a resource that transformed methods of urban documentation and land analysis. The first recorded underwater photograph in 1899 marked a notable technical advance in photography and scientific exploration, opening the way for new discoveries and the development of marine research in the following decades. The Boeing Y-1B-9, a pioneering monoplane bomber tested in 1932, symbolizes the technological transition in military aviation from biplanes to metal-framed aircraft with retractable landing gear, anticipating key strategic advances before World War II. Participants competed in the 1980 Space Invaders Championship, recognized as the first major video game tournament in history, an event that marked the beginning of esports and helped popularize electronic gaming competitions worldwide. The Hollywoodland sign was built in 1923 to promote a real estate development in Los Angeles, becoming a symbol of the rise of the film industry and marking the beginning of the region's transformation into the world capital of cinema. Albert Einstein was teaching in 1944, a period marked by World War II, reinforcing the importance of science and critical thinking in the face of global challenges and symbolizing the influence of intellectuals on the decisions and world events of the time. Marilyn Monroe, one of Hollywood's most iconic figures, surprised the public when she was photographed in 1955 reading Ulysses, showing how film icons also sought intellectual prestige during a period of intense cultural innovation. The presence of the Bugatti Type 41 Royale Coupe Napoleon in 1927 symbolizes the peak of European automotive luxury in that decade, marking the pursuit of exclusivity and power among the very wealthy, since this model was produced in extremely limited numbers. The ship Pamir, known as the last transoceanic commercial sailing vessel, made the dangerous passage around Cape Horn in 1949, marking the end of an era in navigation when sailing ships were replaced by the dominance of steam engines. Transporting letters by airplane recorded in Germany in 1912, marked the first steps of civil aviation, bringing major advances to international communication and speeding up postal processes on a global scale during that early period. The use of the Edison socket in household appliances, such as the toaster around 1909, marked the beginning of home electrification, making it possible to connect everyday devices to the electrical grid and encouraging the spread of daily innovations. The New York Central Mercury train, displayed at Cleveland Union Station in November 1936, symbolizes the golden age of North American railroads, marked by the development of modern transportation and the strengthening of urban industrialization. The introduction of the BMW Isetta in Germany in 1955 symbolized a creative post-war response to the need for affordable mobility, marking an era by making it possible for families to own their first car during economic recovery. The Peel P50, recognized in 1962 in the United Kingdom, represents the British industry's effort to create compact urban vehicles after the war, making individual transportation easier in increasingly crowded cities. Heavy automobile traffic in front of the Holland Tunnel in New York marks the opening of this important underground route in 1927, symbolizing progress in urban transportation and growing mobility in major American cities. The arrival of the train at the newly opened Santa Fe Depot marked progress in integrating San Diego into the railroad network of the southwestern United States, driving urban development and making the movement of people and goods easier in 1915. The Kaslo and Slocan Railway played a vital role in the economic expansion of Western Canada, speeding the transport of mineral resources from British Columbia in the 1890s and encouraging the development of small towns across the region. Workers responsible for paving work on Compton Avenue north of Merrimack in St. Louis in 1908, a phase marked by rapid urban growth and infrastructure modernization in the United States, expanding mobility in cities. Workers take part in the construction of the Empire State Building in New York in the 1930s, a symbol of American optimism during the Great Depression, and this skyscraper became a landmark of urban progress and an icon of modern engineering worldwide. The work of window cleaners was seen as a symbol of urban courage in New York, especially in 1936, when the Empire State Building already stood out as an icon built during the Great Depression, drawing attention to human daring in the face of modernity. Heavy movement of pedestrians and vehicles marked downtown Chicago, especially the Loop area, in 1929, the period before the Great Depression, showing the country's economic and urban energy shortly before the crisis hit the United States. Rural daily life in Arizona in 1940 already included advances, such as the electric washing machine, a direct reflection of electrification promoted by the New Deal, which aimed to modernize infrastructure in farming areas and improve family quality of life. Workers at the Emerson factory in 1945 assembled radios on conveyor belts, showing how mass production gained strength after World War II, expanding access to technology and changing communication habits around the world. The use of state police cars equipped with devices to monitor speed, like the highlighted 1959 Ford, marked advances in traffic enforcement during that period and expanded road control in the United States. Woolworth in Denver, Colorado in 1966 helped establish the model of department stores with in-house lunch counters, popularizing quick meals in everyday urban life in the United States and reflecting the connection between consumer culture and post-war American social life. At the Greyhound bus terminal in Los Angeles, the presence of ashtrays and coin operated televisions in 1969 illustrates social habits shaped by smoking in public spaces and the rise of accessible electronic entertainment in urban waiting areas. Diana Ross, already recognized for her talent in 1960, was emerging as the lead singer of the Supremes, which would become central to the rise of Motown, a key milestone for racial integration in American popular music. The Great Depression of the 1930s did not stop New York from continuing to grow, establishing it as a symbol of modern urbanization worldwide, especially after 1931, when skyscrapers and the planning of Central Park shaped its metropolitan identity. Christopher Walken, still 12 years old, was beginning his path while helping prepare dough at his father's bakery, showing how many American artists started in family settings before achieving national recognition. Buster Keaton appears testing a device in a scene from the film Our Hospitality, released in 1923, marking an era of comic experimentation and technical innovation that influenced the language of silent cinema in the United States. Scribes offered their services on Las Ramblas in Barcelona, helping people who could not read or write and who made up about 1/4 of the population in the 1920s, a setting marked by unequal access to education before Republican reforms. Photographer Jules Gervais Courtelmont recorded an autochrome portrait of a woman in traditional clothing in the province of Toledo in 1924, showing the era's interest in color documentation of Spanish regional cultures. Mail carriers in the Pays de Bouche used stilts to deliver mail, a technique typical of southwestern France in the early 20th century, which made travel through marshlands easier and highlighted the importance of rural postal service. Small-scale fishing supported communities like Bersay in the Orkney Islands for centuries, remaining essential to local survival until the 20th century, when technological advances and economic changes deeply altered that tradition. The Peters Brothers shoe-shaped promotional car drove through San Francisco, California in 1922, showing the creativity of urban marketing in the post-war era, when companies looked for memorable ways to attract local consumers. In late 19th century Los Angeles, the Lincoln Park Ostrich Farm symbolized American society's fascination with eccentricity, using exotic animals for transportation, which helped boost local tourism and the scientific curiosity of the time. The Alcazar of Segovia, located on a rocky outcrop, stands out as one of Spain's most iconic medieval fortresses, having served as a royal residence and the setting for major political decisions during the Castilian monarchy. International tourism was beginning to take hold in Egypt at the end of the 19th century, driven by European interest in pharaonic antiquities, and visits like this to ancient monuments helped spread Egyptology around the world. Loggers pose in front of a giant sequoia trunk in California in 1917, a period marked by intense logging in the United States, which led to the creation of national parks to protect these natural monuments and preserve the sequoia ecosystem. Loggers cutting giant sequoias in California in the 1890s played a major role in a crucial chapter of forest exploitation in the United States, an activity that drove regional economic development while also causing severe environmental impacts. Hemlock harvesting crews worked in Potter County in northern Pennsylvania in the late 19th century, using adapted rail cars as mobile housing, an innovation that made the expansion of the lumber industry in the region possible. Marion Post Wolcott documented American life during the Great Depression, and her photograph of a Gulf station in Miami Beach in 1939 shows how the automobile became established in the urban culture of the United States before World War II. Carrying stacks of mail and Christmas packages, a mail carrier shows the heavy postal flow in the United States after World War I, especially in the winter of 1929 in Chicago, when Christmas drove consumer activity. In the 1920s, a human chess match with living pieces and mounted players marked the peak of public cultural events, showing how mass entertainment was valued in urban settings and large outdoor spaces. Workers maintained the torch of the Statue of Liberty during the 1930s, a period marked by the Great Depression in the United States, emphasizing the monument's importance as a symbol of hope and national resilience. The 1920s highlighted curious feats such as the record for the longest beard in history, valuing personal achievements amid the enthusiasm after World War I, when unusual records gained attention in newspapers and public exhibitions. The busy market on Berwick Street in London's Soho was a symbol of urban energy in 1933, a period marked by economic hardship when street markets became essential spaces for supplies and popular social life. Tourists looking out at the landscape from the crown windows of the Statue of Liberty in 1951 highlight the monument as a symbol of hope and freedom, especially after the war, a period marked by intense migration and global rebuilding. The advance of communications in 1914 made the Eiffel Tower radio station a symbolic landmark of technological innovation, especially as it played a strategic role at the beginning of World War I by transmitting key information in that context. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.